Hello everyone, this is Professor Bogdan. This is session 4 in our interpretive journey on our exegetical course. And in this session, I'd like to help you wrap up everything that you have studied so far in the interpretive journey and learn how to do an exegetical study of a passage. The assignment that you have for this week is assignment 16.1 on page 307, and this is going to give you the opportunity to combine everything that you've studied and do an exegetical paper. And I can't stress enough how important it is that you do this assignment very thoroughly, because this is your opportunity to practice before you do your final paper. So everything that you apply in this, that you do in this assignment, you are going to apply in your final assignment, in your final paper. So do it well, do it thoroughly, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you do really well. So don't take shortcut on this one, because you are going to cheat yourself by not learning and not being able to apply what you think, what you have studied so far. So, I am going to look with you through the steps, and I'm going to basically provide a handout to you. I'm going to attach this paper to you, but I want to go through it and explain it to you as well. So, how to interpret New Testament letters. The first step is grasping the text in their town. What did the text mean to the biblical audience? Basically, what did the author have in mind and intend to communicate to his original audience? So in order to understand that, you want to read the whole book from the beginning to the end. Some books are longer than others, but reading through the whole book will help you have a general overview of the book and then be able to go into the details of it. Every letter that was written with the intent of being read from the beginning to the end. Even when you write a letter, you want your audience to read it from the beginning to the end. What would happen if they just read a paragraph in the middle and don't read the whole thing? There is a great risk that they may misunderstand you. And so that is what can happen when you read any passage out of context. There is a saying that I used to hear from my professors at the seminary: every text out of context is a pretext. And that is how many heresies and how many false teachers have come about, when people don't read the Bible in their context. So let's look at the interpretive journey again, and what you are going to do. Basically, the assignment 16.1 is going to ask you to choose one of those passages. There are 5 options. Choose one of those passages and take it through all the spiritual journey, all the 5 steps. And I want to warn you that step 1 is the one that takes most work. But once you've done that, the other steps are going to be just one paragraph, or 1-2 sentences at the most. So let's look at the process. The first thing that you do in step 1, basically step 1 includes 3 things. It includes the historical cultural context. So you need to understand the background. And that involves the author, the audience, and the historical cultural elements. And I took these questions from your textbook, from Grasping God's Word, just to guide you that when you do your study on the author, just address this question: who is the author? And you say the author was, for Book of Acts, Luke. What was his background? Well, he came to Christ after Jesus was risen from the dead. He accompanied the apostles. He did a very thorough research and investigation, and then he wrote the Book of Acts. He traveled with you, so on. When did he write? So you can look up in your resources and see when the Book of Acts was written. What was the nature of his ministry? What kind of relationship did he have with the audience? Who was the audience? And why did he write his letter. And then you talk about the audience. And you will see in the book of Acts, he is addressing his letter to Theophilus, which means lover of God. And lover of God can mean any believer in the world. He may have used that word fictitiously just to address it to somebody so that he has a mental audience. But who was the original audience? What were their circumstances? How was their relationship with God? And what about their relationship with the author and to each other? What was happening at the time the book was written? So those things are true, these questions you ask about any New Testament passage. Now, or New Testament letter. Now, the historical cultural elements can include geography, topography, social economical issues, and so forth. So look through those and try to cover these things. Your historical cultural context shouldn't be more than a page and a half. For this purpose, I think a page should be enough. On your Ephesians passage, you can make it a page and a half. After you finish with the historical cultural context, you look at the literary context. That means look at the passage before and look at the passage after your text and see how your text flows out of the previous passage. What is the connection, logical connection between them, and how does it flow and influences the following passage. So this could be just 2 short paragraphs. Then you move to a very important section which involves textual observations and word studies. I put both of these, observations and word study, together in the same category because you are going to basically take one verse at a time and you are going to look for both. Now, before you start to work on this section, of course, I would like you to make sure that you read the passage 5 times and then select the words, the key words, I will call key words, to be studied by classifying them in crucial words, repetitive words, and figures of speech. So read this and follow this guidance. Underline them from the beginning before you start to write, so that you have them already prepared, and when you get to them in your verses, in your verse by verse study, you are ready to just go into the word study and do the word study on them. Then you go and look at the review on page 103, 104, and also you have a list that I gave you. Let's see what it is. I think this one. You may, this is attached to your announcement in session 2, things to look for in the passage. You may want to make a printout and use this as a checklist. You are not going to have every single thing that is on this list on every passage, but you want to look and say, okay, let's see what are the associations. Now, you don't take every end in the passage to study, just those that are significant. Alternation, contrast, comparison, and so forth. Look through the list and just make sure that you circle them and see the logical connection. See if there is a cause-effect somewhere. See if there is a means or vehicle that is expressed through word by or which, by or through. Comparison, which is triggered by the words like, just like, or as. Contrast, which is usually illustrated by the word but. Because or for, that shows reason, that or so that, or in order that shows purpose, result. So look for these keywords and see what they suggest. Oh, you see, so that means that there is a purpose or a result. You see the word because, oh, that means that there is a reason behind this. So let's see what's the reason. So you look at the reason and then explain it in your study. All right. So let's go back to our how to interpret. So do after you circle this and mark this on your page, go take one verse at a time and begin to explain and analyze the key words and the things to observe by showing the meaning of the word in its context and how the things that you observe contribute to the understanding of the passage. So feel free to use a Bible commentary. You have this Bible commentary that you bought, but there are also other commentaries online in BibleHub.com and in netbible.org. So feel free to look at those and see how they do that, so that you use that as a sample, as a model. After you've done this, you can go to step 2, where you measure the width of the river. And that means that this is just going to be a paragraph. Just look at the difference between them, their town, and our town. And then you move to step 3, that shows us the similarities that are between them and us. And then look at the passage, and you have to look. This is going to just take 1 or 2 sentences, but it's very, very important that you do it well, because you need to extract the theological principle that resides in this passage. And the theological principle is a universal truth that can stand the test of time, culture, circumstances, generations. It's a universal truth that stands true across time and space. So, and you want to formulate it as a truth statement. So it's going to be like a philosophical thought. And you need to formulate it. And after you extract that principle, then you go to the next step and consult the biblical map. What does that mean? You want to see if that principle that you have extracted is truly biblical. So you want to look in the Bible and see if it's consistent with the rest of the Bible. You may want to give 2 or 3 examples of situations or passages where that principle is being expressed or revealed throughout the Bible. You may want to choose to choose some examples from the Old Testament, some examples from the New Testament, maybe even some specifically as they come out of Jesus' teaching. So that's consulting the biblical map. Make sure that the principle you have extracted is deep, is profound, it qualifies those criteria that are in the textbook. Go back and study that chapter, and then once you have that principle, you are ready to go to step 5. But be careful, because if step 4 is not done well, then step 5 is compromised. If you don't have a principle here, you don't have something to apply here, or your application is wrong. So I hope that you're going to do well. So then here in step 5, you basically apply the principle to our town and show how the principle that we have extracted from this passage applies to our circumstances, to our generation, to our situation. And give 1 or 2 examples, no more than 2, where 1 should be sufficient at this point, where this principle that you have extracted would apply. So that's how you do this assignment. That's the spiritual journey. And once you do this, you are going to be ready for your final paper. So do it well, practice. And I'm going to give you feedback. So whatever corrections or suggestions I'm going to make on this one, you want to apply to your final so that you can improve and get a really good job on your final, and make me proud. Make me proud. Thank you, and God bless you.